Spoiler warning. The following discussion will contain spoilers. We recommend checking out the movie first, then coming back to hang with us. But if you don't care about that, glad to have you here.
Jason.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Real Review. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are The Real Movie Guys. Welcome to Real Terror Month, a series where we discuss movies that will send chills down your spine. On today's episode, we will be taking a look at Friday the 13th, the final chapter. After being mortally wounded and taken to the morgue, murderer Jason Voorhees spontaneously revives and embarks on a killing spree as he makes his way back to his home at Camp Crystal Lake. So this is, they should call this movie Jason the Journey Home, right? That's what this is about. He's just trying to get home. I don't know why everyone's giving the guy such a hard time.
Because he's killing people on the way home.
Yeah, he's doing something.
It's not nice.
So Jason got pretty messed up last time we saw him. You know, he got an axe to the head, got hung, a whole bunch of other injuries. He was pretty much dead, I thought, right? For the most part.
At the beginning, we didn't think he was alive, so.
Yeah, he just randomly comes back to life.
Jesus Christmas! Holy Jesus goddamn! Holy Jesus jumping Christmas shit!
Right? That's really what they did in this movie. That's what happened. I'm not trying to be like a jerk. He just randomly comes back to life out of nowhere. No reason given, no, nothing to it. He just comes back to life and starts all up again.
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that. I can. I can appreciate his motivation to kill. This Jason, by far, is my favorite Jason in the whole series. I think he's the most intimidating. I believe he's bigger than even the last one. It's the way he moves. This is like Terminator meets Jason. He's scary. His silhouette's intimidating. When he busts through a door, you're like, oh my God, this monster of a man, his hands, like everything about this man this is Jason Voorhees that we've wanted. This is what we built up to. And it's ironic because this was supposed to be the final chapter. Then, money happens and that didn't happen. But it feels like the end. And that's like my first positive with this movie. I feel like this feels like the end, right? If I were to think of the end of Friday the 13th, this movie really feels like that. It does feel like the final chapter. And it's been a long series for us watching at this point.
Yeah, definitely. You're very much invested in this whole franchise, and then this kind of seems like puts a good cap off to the series too.
Right. So, like I said, in my opinion, this is the best Jason. What do you think, John? What are your thoughts on this incarnation of Jason that we have?
After watching this one compared to the other ones, I feel like this one's a lot better than all the rest.
Right.
I feel like it's got more cool kills added on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like as the series has gone on,
right,
this one kind of, like this one being the final chapter also, it's just a great movie altogether.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't hold anything back in this one, right? This is where like, all right, all the cards are on the table, whatever you can think of, let's just do it, right? Let's just throw it out there. And ironically, this does some of the best character work, I think, in any of the movies. I'm not talking about the teenagers. We'll get that right out of the way. The teenagers are garbage. They're probably the worst they've ever been. It's a negative, but it's also...
Let me put it in the old computer. No, I'm serious about this. The computer don't lie. Now, let's see. What? It says you're a dead fuck. What? A dead fuck?
Whatever. They're not the characters that really matter in this movie. They're kind of just there for us to have the eye candy, for the nudity and for the glorious kills that come along with it.
That's right.
The interesting fact is there's a family now, right, involved in this series. The Jarvis family, which I actually like their inclusion. I really thought they added something that we didn't have in Friday the 13th up until now, right? We didn't have a kind of like a group that I actually cared about.
I'm in the mood for. Yes. I feel like. No!
Well, see, and I thought that was like an interesting take to add to this movie too.
Right.
Now that there being like somebody that also lives there. All the other ones, it seemed like he was just out there by himself.
Right.
And nobody else was out there, but like the camps were like kind of far away from everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But then just knowing that like kind of these people like live around the lake too.
Right. It's an
now that they're being
dynamic.
neighbors, it's okay. I can see that
Well,
happening
it's
now.
funny because we always had like just dispensable characters, right? All the from the counselors to just plain ass teenagers just wanting to have sex all the time, which they are still at the same time. But on the same token, we do have a family that really they don't need this right now. You know what I mean? Like you do feel bad for what's going on with them. Kimberly Beck, who plays Trish, I thought she did a really good job as, you know, the older sister, and she was convincing and likable.
There's only 3 of you up here.
Mm-hmm. My parents are separated. You know, middle-aged crazies. I kind of hope they get back together.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And we have the famous Corey Feldman, right? Very early on in Corey Feldman's career, playing Tommy Jarvis.
Gordon! Hey, Gordon! Where have you been, huh, Gordon? Have you been sneaking around? Do you have a girlfriend or something? Tommy.
Who goes on to something later, but anyway. But just for right now, I really like them. I like them a lot as characters. You know, they felt organic, felt real. I mean, you know, not the best, not Oscar nominated performance or anything like that, but for what we usually get out of this series, I was feeling like, you know, I was concerned for their well-being, especially, you know, just these people next door to them, a bunch of teenagers just renting a house and just, you know, getting murdered, and like, oh, what's going to happen to them? You know, they're not really doing anything. And then we get actually one more element on top of that, which I think is kind of cool. Maybe not wholly unique to horror, but we get the Hitchhiker character. Rob is introduced. Rob is actually a brother to a character from part 2.
My sister Sandra was just a really great kid.
But the man that killed your sister is dead.
He's alive. Look. Jason is a child, right? Artist's conception of Jason is described by a would-be victim, right? And then the murders.
She wasn't a huge character at that point. It was Sandra was the character from part 2. She was one of the counselors. Again, not a big deal because no one really cared about their names or who they were really at that point. But again, it's some cool stitching, right? We have connections to the series. Kind of nice to see we have like that little bit of a plot thread woven through this movies. You can argue it doesn't go anywhere, but at the same time, I think it's kind of cool for continuation's sake, right?
Like these people actually have families. They're not just like people not wanted by society.
Yeah, right. I mean, there should be like a little bit of like, especially this takes place, I think, over the course of 5 days between part 2 to now. Because all of them are right after each other, which, again, another positive, that continues the trend, right? This is the last film in the series that'll do that, where it just picks up right after the last one. We start with the mortician and the nurse.
I'm so glad you could come.
Axel, you are the Super Bowl of self-abuse.
Which are our first quick kills in the movie, which are pretty cool, by the way, especially the mortician. He gets his head sawed off with the bone saw, and then he spins his head around. Again, like I said, this kind of balls to the wall with the kills in this movie.
Read my lips. Leave me alone!
I thought that was a good opening to it, kind of, because you knew he wasn't dead, but at the same time, they just kept like making you think, oh, is this when he comes alive? And then eventually he finally does and kills everyone.
Yeah, and that's one of the major positives, I think. Like I said, the kills are just like really good. in this movie. I think this is probably, you could tell some of them are cheesy. I mean, there are always going to be some that look a little cheesy. They're all practical still, just like they've been throughout the series. They look better than the last movie. I know that's something we didn't touch upon too much. There was definitely some bad makeup work and practical effects. I thought this one looked better for the most part in that regard. Definitely a lot of memorable kills. I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about them, but I want to get that out of the way because, like I said, that was one of my favorite parts. Also, the pacing, right? I don't know if it did it for you, but it did it for me. This felt like the fastest of the movies. A lot of the times, which again, something else we really didn't talk about last time, the pacing's just been kind of off. All the Friday the 13th movies, arguably for me up until this point. The first three just had like dead spots where it was like really long cuts of nothing and, just wasting time. This movie I felt like moved briskly, like it spread out its kills. The story maintained to be interesting for me. Everything that was happening I was more invested in.
It seemed more like it was put together. It seemed like there was always something going on that you kind of cared about.
Right. This one felt like a more, comprehensible movie. Like it felt like a better movie overall. It felt like a more well-made, like there was more effort. I know the budget's still ridiculously low for these movies. I don't even know what it is offhand. But I feel like there was just really good effort put into this one out of the other ones. I feel like the director, Joseph Zito, like he had a vision for Jason and what he wanted, and he just perfectly captured that across the screen. I felt like Terminator in some respects. He just goes in, does what he's got to do, and he's out.
Jimbo? Jimbo?
For such a big dude, he's pretty sneaky at times, Jason. He's got parts where he's just sneaking around. There's a really cool kill it's semi off screen, if that makes any sense. The one girl's getting groceries out of the car, and he just goes up behind her, and you see his shadow as he stabs her with a pole. Right through her back, and you see lightning strike, and you see the shadow of it, and then he throws her corpse against the house. Again, very cool, very different. Not something we're used to seeing in the series. This movie shows here and there that it's low budget, but again, I think they make the best of what they had. The acting, I thought, was just a tad bit better overall. We had Tommy Jarvis, played by Corey Feldman, who I thought he did a really good job, especially for a kid actor.
You're getting pretty terrific at making those things.
Thanks. I just customized it.
Where's Gordon?
He went out.
Oh, someone left the front door open.
We're in the country.
Well, what happens if the psycho wanders in?
Probably challenge him to a game of Zaxxon.
Again, maybe not over the top great, but I think the acting was just better overall. He was really good. Also, we have one of my favorite actors, Crispin Glover, Mr. George McFly, makes his appearance in this movie. I wouldn't say he's anything breathtaking or spectacular. He's just really awkward. I think it's just funny because I love Back to the Future to see him in this movie.
Well, also, this was one of the first times where I felt like we got to know a character in a way.
Yeah, we got a little bit behind him.
Where they showed, how he created masks and stuff. I thought that was really an interesting, little thing where he showed the one guy all of his mask collection.
Amazing.
And how he could make them work and stuff. I thought that was a cool little thing that they threw in there.
No, that was good for Tommy, and that actually builds up to another positive for me. Again, this was supposed to be the end of the series, so if you look at it from that perspective, they were building something new to come, right? The whole purpose felt okay, we're gonna get rid of Jason once, we've had enough of Jason, so we're gonna get rid of him, but we're gonna usher in something new to come, which this movie does set that up pretty well. I feel we got an amazing Jason sequence at the end of this movie, which all of them have been pretty decent. I feel for the most part, all those final confrontations kind of live up to what what we're expecting. This one more so than any others. You have Corey Feldman again playing Tommy, finds a bunch of newspaper clippings that show what Jason's been up to for this time. Figures out okay, maybe if I pretend to be Jason, which that's a stretch in a way too. How would he have figured that out? Like, what made you have thought to do that in the first place, right? It's a little weird. I guess he's just a weird kid, which kind of comes across. I mean, the kid makes professional-looking masks. I don't know how he does that either, but all right, we'll go with that. So he finds the articles, he like shaves his head, then he runs down the stairs while Jason's attacking Trish, and he just goes, Jason! He's like yelling at him.
Jason! Jason!
Having this like whole sequence back and forth, they're able to kill Jason. They're actually able to kill Jason. Jason is killed in the final chapter, and it's a pretty gruesome kill. They put the machete right in his head, and then his mask falls off. He's all deformed, ugly looking, and the kill is just so grotesque, right? Like it's a big machete in his head, and his head just like slides down the machete as it's like cutting through him. It's really gross.
It's a beautiful scene.
It's a beautiful scene, but it's nice to see that he's dead, and then we have the hint later after that shows, he starts to twitch a little, and then Tommy picks up the machete and starts chopping away at Jason. Like, crazy person. It's interesting because it shows like the setup, right, for the future. Like, okay, Jason's story is over, but maybe Friday the 13th, someone else has been bathed in blood, so there's like a new character on the horizon.
Often during extreme duress, people are capable of extraordinary behavior. That's what happened when your brother violently attacked the killer. At that moment, it was perfectly normal for him to act to protect himself. He's going to be just fine.
Right?
That's right. Like, this can still continue.
Yeah, and I really like that. I think that was really cool what they do with that, later.
It's also almost like they go, okay, this is the final chapter to like book number 1, but we still have more books that we can do.
Also, I feel like this was also the most traditional slasher movie, if that makes any sense. The formula that we have now in slashers, I think this movie captures that pretty well. I don't know if you would agree or not. Like, this movie kind of embodies that whole formula, right? Everything that we're going to see going forward. The other movie was like, it was all right, we're getting there, we're almost there. But this movie's like the perfect slasher movie formula. It's got someone a group that we care about. It's got the Expendables for the fun. It's got the awesome monster. It's got the chase scene, which I love the chase scene in this movie, by the way, which is crazy. Jason chases her through the house, and they have like this crazy thing, and she just jumps out the window. I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was awesome. Everything's awesome about that. This movie just really sets the tone, I feel like, for the future as far as slashers. What they do with that, it's another story, but this movie, if I were to recommend a slasher movie to somebody, this is usually the one I would recommend out of Friday the 13th as far as a franchise.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
There are some negatives, right? There's a little bit of things, I want to talk about. And the negatives I'm going to talk about aren't for the future. Like, I'm going to act like nothing happens after that, so just keep that in mind. I know some people are chomping at the bit for what's to come, but this is only as pertains to this movie right now.
They're going to yell at you.
Yeah, so Jason's resurrection I thought was just kind of stupid. I thought they could have done something a little more clever. Maybe give me something. I mean, I know it's, he's a monster and he got back up and whatever, but a little something more might have been nice. A little more clever. A little more. Just a little more. Give me a little more. The long recap in this movie. It was like a almost 15-minute recap, I think, in the beginning of this movie. It felt like forever. That was the only thing that didn't move fast, was this long recap. I mean, I know you got to show people like a recap of the series to get everybody caught up, but you didn't need that in this movie. It was kind of unnecessary for me. The teenagers just too much of a stereotype at this point. Like, I hated all of them completely.
Check it out. Why don't you run this through your computer, teddy bear? Hey, congratulations, Jimbo.
And I wish, there were some more likable. I mean, like I said, we talked about Crispin Glover is a little bit likable, only because I know him as Crispin Glover. It's not for his character whatsoever. They're all just unredeemable bastards that really deserve to be killed by Jason. I really still hold on to the belief, some of them should be at least, a little likable would be nice. Another negative, which I know I said I wouldn't talk, this isn't the end, right? So that's one bad thing about this movie. I wouldn't say it's not going to impact the score that I'm going to give this movie, but it's not the end. The final chapter is a big lie in the face. And I guess you could argue it is Jason's final chapter, so they decided not to be Jason's final chapter. But like I said, that's kind of annoying. Oh, I do have one other negative, which is there's a lot of off-screen kills in this movie, which kind of is annoying. For as many clever kills that we had, which there's a lot of great kills in this movie, a lot of iconic ones I can't wait to get into a little bit, but there's a lot of off-screen ones too, or lackluster, right? If that makes any sense. Like I brought it up, Mrs. Jarvis's death just assumably happened off-screen. We don't know what happened to her. The most robbed, and it's also kind of hilarious in a weird way, is Rob's death, the hitchhiker. So they're in the basement. Tommy's going into the basement with him to see what's going on, and then Trish goes down there too, and then Jason jumps on her, and he defends her, he saves her from Jason, and then Jason's grabbing him, and he's like, run, you gotta get out of here, go, and then Jason's hitting him with the machete, he's cutting into him, and you just hear him go, he's killing me! He's killing me! I'm not even making that up. I wish I could. He's just going, he's killing me! He's killing me! That was just so stupid. I'm sorry. That was really? That's what you did with that character? You had more potential with the hitchhiker aspect character. You just kind of ruined that, especially with your tie-in. That's why I said earlier before, it was nice his inclusion was in the movie, but ultimately there was zero payoff to that storyline.
It almost seems like, too, in all of these movies, they always have a car that either breaks down or they have...
Oh, yeah, the car movie cliches, of course.
Always the crappy car, the crappy place, the lights never work.
Well, it's the rules of Friday the 13th and horror movies in general, right? We got to abide by them. People have sex are going to die, and then everything's not going to work when it's convenient to the plot.
I also thought the cop
it's the Jurassic Park syndrome, essentially, right? You spent all this money in the world on the best park in the world, but you couldn't get a damn extra battery to run everything in case the power went out. Same concept.
Couldn't find that generator.
I think at that point, though, where we're going to give our Real Kill Award. Due to the nature of the season, myself and John will now select a recipient of the Real Kill Award, a special award given to the kill we think is the highlight of the film. John, who would you like to present with the Real Kill Award?
I present it to Sarah.
Okay.
When she gets killed by Jason, when he just takes the axe and puts it right in her chest. I feel like that's one of the best ways to kill off somebody.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's out of this world or anything like that, but I feel like it's just one of those ways where
just brutal, right?
It's she's looking right at him and he kills her. It's almost like it has more meaning to it than
right.
If he threw it from behind and nailed her in the back of the head and she just fell down.
They're having an emotional moment, right? They're having a little bit of a connection there, uncomfortable connection. I would like to give my Real Kill Award to Crispin Glover getting stabbed in the hand with a corkscrew and then chopped in the face with a machete. Yeah, that's a nasty kill that came out of nowhere to me. I mean, it's bad enough. You just see Jason like pop into frame out of nowhere with a corkscrew because he's looking for a bottle opener the whole time. Like Crispin Glover's like going through. He's like, oh, I can't find it. He's like, where's the bottle? He says something silly like, where is it? Where's the corkscrew? And you just see out of nowhere, the corkscrew goes right into his hand. It digs in, right? And then he turns his head and smack. It's like in one shot. And it's like a big, like, it felt, you know, it's like something feels like heavy. It had weight to it. That machete kill to the face had like a crushing, like soul, almost like bone and soul crushing smash to it. And it just like, it really hits you hard. You know, out of nowhere. It's really out of nowhere too, which I love. I love the surprise to that. Do you have any other kills that you liked in this movie too? There's a couple of good ones, right? For the most part.
Yeah, that was the one that mainly stuck out to me.
Yeah, I had another one. I liked the bathroom scene kill, which I thought was really interesting. They just get finished having sex, him and the one girl, and you know he's in the shower, he's all shy, like oh da da da, and you hear like he thinks like it's the one friend like playing a prank on him.
Hey, Paulie, is that you? Hey, Paulie. Whoops. Dropped my bar of softball, buddy. Let me get in here with the old pal. Ho, ho, ho.
The whole, you know, he's like, oh, and he's like, oh, I hear you. You know, the cliche, like the shadow's coming. He doesn't know who it is. And then you just see like a hand smash through the glass. Big monster Jason grab his face. He's like crushing his skull with his hand. He just shoves it and smashes it against the wall. And I'm like, that's brutal, man. And then when she comes back into the room looking for him, you just see his limp body hanging over the glass wall. That's some gross stuff, man. It really is. Jason's very physical with his kills. And I like that. I've always liked that about the character. I feel like that was his most like appealing feature. It's something that'll happen a lot more often going in the future. Yeah, he grabs the one girl, just throws her out the window. On top of a car. It's so random, but it's so like nasty, right? It's just nasty and raw.
Oh yeah, that's one thing like you kind of look forward to in these kind of movies. Like you're just like wondering how is he going to kill this person, and is it going to be a clever way, or is it going to be like a way that we already know?
Screw you, Paul.
More than any other slasher, like character type, like, you know, you have your Michael Myers from the Halloween, Ghostface from Scream, Leatherface, Texas, you know, all the common characters, Freddy Krueger. Jason's just very physical and brutal, and I like when I see that side of him played off. He's brutally strong. I love seeing that aspect of his like kills come through in his character. I really like that. And I actually, like you said, I look forward to that when I watch these movies, actually, to see what new way he's going to use like a monstrous strength to kill people. And it's also kind of clever, right? For a character supposed to be dumb, he's pretty smart.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
I think we're at that point where we're going to give our final scores for the movie. I'm going to give Friday the 13th, the not so final chapter, a B+. Out of all the ones we've watched so far, this is still the best movie. I don't think it's A-level material. I don't know if it ever could be, to be honest with you. It's just Friday the 13th. I don't think it can be just because of what it is. Just because of its makeup, right? Its genetic makeup is not an A-tier movie. I feel like, though, it's the best out of all the ones we've watched so far. This is my personal favorite. Like I said, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I really like this one. Whenever I think of Jason, this is what I go back to. I like the story. I actually like the cat. You know, besides the teenagers, I like the other characters involved in this movie. There's a lot to be offered here, and you know, it's a great setup for a future that I wish didn't happen. But you know, that's a story for another video. John, where do you stand with this movie?
I stand with this movie. I give it a B. It's definitely one of the better ones I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely had more kills and everything. I thought it was a good story, and I feel like it was done very well.
Right.
So that's why I would give it a B.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the finality, well, arguably isn't, but it isn't the finality. But the finality, if this was like the final Jason movie, I feel like this would have been like a good way to go out on overall.
Yeah,
Like, this
definitely.
this should have been, maybe it shouldn't have been the end. You know, we'll see as the series goes on, but you know,
It's a
as
good,
of
strong
right now,
finish.
yeah, it's a strong finish. It ended stronger than you would think. You know, it evolved, and I think the best part for me, at least, you know, we're not going to see that anymore going further. Spoiler alert, we're not going to see that. But the evolution of the character was just so great for me. You know, you don't really get that in monsters. I feel like Michael Myers is static, Leatherface is kind of a static character, Ghostface, you know, they're just their image. There's not a lot of talk that goes into Jason, right, evolving as a character. Sympathetic at times and a cruel behemoth at other times. It's really interesting. So John, where can the people find us at home?
You could find us on YouTube at the Real Movie Guys on YouTube. We'd like you to like our channel, subscribe. Tell us down in the comments what you thought of this movie, other movies that you like, some kill scenes that you enjoyed also.
Oh yeah.
Share them with us. We always like to interact. You can find us on Twitter, The Real Movie Guy on Twitter. You can also find us on many podcasting platforms such as...
Yes, for your listening pleasure, we are also available in podcast form at iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcast, Overcast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Pocket Casts. Be sure to give us a listen at any of those fine places. If you already are right now, hey, we greatly appreciate it. Just search Real Movie Guys. We should pop right up. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin. This guy over here, he's John. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. And don't worry, there are more scares to come as Real Terror Month continues. Scare you next time.
See ya!